Ooh, boys and girls, look who I got with us today. I was supposed to have 5 interviews. I don't know why I do this. Luckily, somebody couldn't kind of make it. And I don't mean to say luckily, but man, I need a little nappy poo. We are on a fine Sunday, and look who I got. This is Stir the Pot with Don Kincaid, my very special guest, hard hitting Bob the Ocean. What's up, my man? How you doing?
Hey, how are you, bro?
Good, man. I haven't seen you in a while. So, nice hat. I love the hat. Uh,
Thank
so, I know we haven't seen each other in a while. I'd
Yeah.
like to start right off with the whole topsy-turvy thing we got going on right now in the world. You, the family, everybody good right now?
Everybody's good, bro. You know, we're healthy, we're blessed. Um, it's crazy how this thing has taken over, the world, and social distancing is, I never thought that we would have something like this. You know, to not be able to celebrate with, friends, family, loved ones, to not see loved ones. To now have to communicate like how we're communicating through a phone instead of in person.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's just crazy right now, especially with employment. Nobody knows what's happening. Nobody can get answers as far as unemployment concerns. When they're going back to work, when people are going back to school, it's just a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of uncertainty on things. So it's hopefully they can figure out when we're able to reopen stuff back up and get back to our normal lives.
Mm-hmm.
I did hear about that there was supposed to be a second wave of this. But you're always hearing different stories and different reports every day. So who knows what you can believe, what you can't believe, and what's actually happening.
The information that is coming out is just so. I think it's just like handfuls of a little bit of hope here, a little bit of hope there, just trying to simmer stuff down. But man, if you don't have the facts, you can't throw stuff out there, So
Yeah.
I hope the information can kind of get a little bit leaner, if you will, and we can get a little bit more solid info instead of just softballs tossed at us.
Right. I think it's, we all want answers.
Mhm.
We all want to know what's really happening. We all want to know why wasn't this taken care of beforehand. Instead, how now we're dealing with it. A lot of unanswered questions, but hopefully we can get back to normal real soon.
Uh, I gotta say, I've said this a lot, and everybody, not just myself, obviously, getting back to normal.
Yeah.
I don't know, Bobby. I have to say, even when this kind of starts simmering down a little bit, and we do start maybe adding, phase X and phase Y and phase Z, and try to get back to some kind of normalcy,
Yeah.
I have a weird feeling, and I'm an optimistic. I'm no pessimistic kind of guy. I kind of feel that I don't think we'll ever see a real normal like we used to, because let's face it, we're gonna go to the wrestling shows, right? You
Right.
men and you men and women, you're gonna get in the ring, the fans are gonna come, but we've already been talking like weeks ago. There's no
Yeah.
more handshakes at the shows when that's part of the whole etiquette, the respect, the part of the whole thing. You can't even shake anybody's hand nowadays. What the hell are we gonna do when we get back? I mean, are we gonna head nod to each other and say, "Hey, what's up"? I mean, what the f are we gonna do?
I mean, that might be a thing. I mean, elbow bump, uh, maybe possibly fist bump, if that could even be, doable. But who knows? I mean, I think it's probably just more of less the acknowledgement of, hey, good to see you. Hey, how are you?
Mhm. I'm gonna miss that whole interaction because I know it's gonna fall right off when we get back. I love that whole grabbing the hand, pulling in for a hug. I love that stuff, man, and I'm gonna miss it so much if we can't do it no more.
It's. I get what you're saying, but I mean, you can get that through somebody's words at the same time, though.
Hmm.
When
Hmm.
you know it's real.
Oh yeah,
But I
because you
get
know what? Oh,
it's
go ahead.
nothing like a good hug, you know.
Dude, sometimes it just helps, uh, because I've made a lot of, and I mean a lot of amazing relationships, friendships, if you will, outside of that ring with not all of you. Uh, some of you don't really like me very much. I could understand it because I'm all up in your face, Kincaid files, and I could get that. So, uh, I, when I take out the ring, I've made so many relationships with the men and women, and I actually treasure every single one of them because you guys have always showed me a lot of respect. And when I come into your world, because wrestling, my friend, and we know this, is a very different world than any other. You name a sport, you name a profession, you name a job, you name anything out there. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, like the world of wrestling, man. It is something very special and unique.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it is. You know, wrestling is unique. I think it's more unique than possibly any other sport. Um, you know, just you have, from the passion that we have as wrestlers, the passion that the fans have, production people, just everybody as a whole. I mean, I feel you can find that in other sports, but I just think for me, I mean, of course, just being biased, I just feel like there's, it's nothing like wrestling fans, wrestling
Nope.
personality.
And we speak we speak on this show of, like, how hard it is to persevere as a wrestler, what it takes, because it's not just this, it's not just that. It's like a billion different things that it takes to all culminate and make a package of a wrestler. And I know that you're a trainer right now, and as part of your career. And I just want to kind of throw something out there at you, since you're in that part of the world, the wrestling world, as a trainer. Now, we get these men and women that get signed up on the XW. Oh my God, I can't even talk today. The NXT brand.
Yeah.
They get signed up on a performance center, and I'll use a football athlete just as an instance. He comes in. He's watched wrestling probably most of his life, if not all of his life. Sees the Stone Colds, the Rocks, and wants to be a wrestler. Gets into wrestling, and son of a bitch, it is not as easy as they think it is. Even if you're an athlete, a world-class football athlete, they think they can come in and become a wrestler. It's not that easy, and a lot of them just drop right off because we don't see a whole lot of them persevere. Uh, what is it that really separates it? Is it more of a mental? Is it a physical? Why is it so hard, even as an athlete, to come into wrestling and make that transition?
Um, I think it's the environment, the world that they come from. You got to think a football player is uh, used to learning plays. Their footwork is different. Um, they're used to trucking people on the field, catching footballs, things like that. Their cardio is much different. Where it's I guess you can say a stop and go.
Mhm.
To where ours is, it can be a stop and go. It can be a consistency of going. Um, the falls, the moves, and of course for us it's we only get one shot,
Mhm.
so it's like your sense of wherewithal needs to be there at all times. Uh, you know, something doesn't go right. What do? All these things that I think, and especially as a wrestler, you're a stuntman, a gymnast, an acrobatic, a comedian. Uh, you do improv, you do all these things, memorizing things. Um, I just think it's a lot
Mm.
to take in for anybody, and especially the cardio is different. I mean, I think you put a wrestler, you take them and put them into, the NFL. or you take them into, NHL or NBA or, MLB or even MMA, you know, um, the cardio is different. The way
Mhm.
you move is different. How you react is different. So it's not your world. It's not your environment.
Mm.
Like, I think that's what it is. I think it's psychologically. Psychologically, um, it's condition wise too. Um, so yeah, just think a cluster of things.
It is because again, it's a package that's like none other. And I'm not to say that wrestling is better than anything else or wrestling is this comparing to that, but it's so unique and it takes so much. And I know if you want to be a football player, it takes a lot of this and a lot of that and so forth.
Yeah,
Just to be an athlete, it really takes sacrifices in many things. But like you were just saying, you've got to, do improv. You've got to be an actor. You have to be an acrobat. You have to be, wow, there is so much that it pertains to make that package of one wrestler, that one character to stand out and really make their mark, may it be man or woman. Because you know what? The whole thing, and I say men and women on this show a lot, but I know you're all one bunch of people, but there's still a separation a little bit to
yeah,
a degree of how you have to act in the ring. If it's Bobby Ocean and across the ring is a woman, you still got to move a little bit different. You have to change your story a little bit different because you're not going to go run up to her and punch her in the mouth. So,
yeah.
so you have to utilize your training a little bit different than the women. But I gotta say, intergender wrestling has skyrocketed in the
Mm.
last 5 years, maybe even better. What's your position on intergender wrestling? Because at Test of Strength, you guys really mix it up with the ladies and the men and such.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I really didn't know what to really make of it. It was something new. Um, I can't remember where I first saw it. I think it was Beyond Wrestling. I'm not too sure. Or maybe it was Limitless. But I knew it was a thing. I knew that they kind of had the intergender stuff in different promotions. To me, I like it. I really don't see a problem with it. And why not? Why not break down that door and break down that wall and say, hey, women can do just as much as us guys can. They can get in the ring with us, tear it up with us, and I mean, you saw like the women's evolution when they had that pay per view, and everybody was like, wow, they were just like, that's good, uh, So I don't really see a problem with it. And I think it makes for an interesting contrast anyway, because
Mhm.
if you see a Bobby Ocean versus a Evie De La Rose, if you see a Bobby Ocean uh, versus a Mercedes Martinez, let's say, that's interesting. You don't
Mhm.
know what's going to happen. I mean, hell, plus we play them in video games all the time, so why not fight, right?
Because again, you have to change your story up. And I mean, not every time you get into that ring, you do tell a different story. But when it comes to, like an Evie or a Martinez across a Karen Bam Bam, love Karen Bam Bam. Uh, when they're across the ring from you, you have to kind of tell a different story and be like, okay, this is not believable. I'm not going to go up and punch her in the mouth because if she doesn't get up, that's believable. But if she gets up, that's not that believable. And that's not what we do. We're not running at a woman and punching her in the mouth. We got to come at it from a different angle. How am I going to make this to the fans? Look, we're still in the match. We're still fighting, if you will, but I'm not beating the shit out of her kind of, thing. And with that being said, Evie De La Rosa versus Dan the Man in a no DQ match. Holy crap, my friend. What a story that was to the fans. I think to the whole locker room. Do you guys watch that stuff from behind? I'm kind of curious. Do you peek through the curtain when things are like that going on?
Yeah, I will say, some for matches, sometimes I'll go out and watch because you just gotta feel it. It's one thing to watch it in the in the back on the monitors, and watch it at the curtain, which is another thing. Be you know a witness in the crowd and seeing how it is uh, from another perspective.
Hmm.
Um, I did see the match, and think, wow, um, they tore it up. Uh, Great match. As much as I don't like Dan, but good match. I think Evie should have another singles match with Dan, for the title. Um, Even though I'm vying, for my spot in there somewhere. Um, but no, Evie's a badass. I knew Evie when I was coming up, and she was always good. And even when she came back, I recently saw her at a show, and she was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about coming back to the ring." You know, she hasn't lost a step. So
Well, Test of Strength introduced us because I haven't been in the game a whole lot of time. I think I jumped like really seriously into the indie scene about 2016. So you guys, Test of Strength, East Hartford, Connecticut, love the place, go to every single show. You guys introduced a lot of the fans to EVD La Rosa. And you're saying she's been in the game for a little bit. Seeing her, I was like, it was something different for me. I know you guys bring a lot of different faces, which I absolutely love about Test of Strength. The different faces, it doesn't get stale. You tell different stories. The fans have a great time. You guys have a great time because it's not the same old, same old, if you will. Uh,
right.
Evie De La Rosa, love her. And my daughter's stepdaughter, she got married over the course of the last couple years. She's gained a little stepdaughter in her family. Man, does that little girl love Evie De La Rosa. She's got a shirt. She asks where she is. She asks, when can we see her? Those are the things, my friend, when Test of Strength or a company brings in a lady and the little girls get to look up to the Evie De La Rosas of the world. I love that part about wrestling.
Yeah. It's just like like for me as it is for your stepdaughter. It's like um, when you see somebody, you're like, like for me, it was Macho Man. I was like, I want to be like him. For your stepdaughter, it's like I want to be like her. But I you know, I I can she can get with that with Evie's character, who she is,
Hmm.
things like that. So, I mean, I get it. I get it. And we need more of that. We need more of that. You know.
Yeah. But, that is the performance that you men and women bring to the table, to the fans that really get us invested into your characters because that's what wrestling is. It's a lot about, obviously we want to see you do real cool stuff in the ring,
Right.
but that story, the character, and the whole independent woman thing that Evie brings to the table, the little girls, they're connecting with that. And we get that so much. I love that. And I know I say I love that part about wrestling, but I really do because without the character portion of the program, a little piece of that element of being a wrestler is very lost. And I know some make up total different characters from scratch, crazy comic book stuff or what have you. But your character, sir, very relatable to the regular guy. You come out in some black trunks, you come out some knee pads, some boots, and you just you just punch you punch people, you go through them like a bulldozer, you win championships, you create storylines for us to attach onto. But you personally, you didn't have to create this big crazy character for us to get invested. How did you do that? Did you feel at a point where you felt like you were really connecting with us?
Yeah. Originally, um, you know, I looked at my character as the wrestler's wrestler. Um, and I always, the macho manism, some macho man stuff is there. um, I think the connection with the fans is supporters is that I'm real, and that I'm very in your face, no nonsense. What you see is what you get. I guess you could say almost like Stone Cold Steve Austin-ish. Um, where I'm here for business and to whoop ass and to win belts, take names, whatever it may be. I think anybody can relate to that because that's in everybody. Everybody wants to, everybody has that serious side. Everybody has that need to succeed, that need to win, that need to feel unbeatable, to feel dominant. Um, and for me, it's I know when I'm standing across the ring or standing across the ring from somebody, whoever it may be, and you look into my eyes, you know that it's go time. This is serious. You're going to get hit very hard. It's going to hurt. Uh, uh, and, like I always tell guys, remember, this is what you signed up for. There is no, I guess you say, a gimmick.
That is a difference from one Bobby Ocean to some others, not all others, because some others kind of utilize their real self, and sometimes it's not turned up to the I can't even say it, 1,000 times. But I mean, you come in and you do that thing, your moniker, hard hitting Bobby Ocean. When you give a clothesline, and again, macho manish, you follow through, you run like a freight train. You don't stop. It's not like you're going to kind of tap the guy, back off a little bit. Dude, if you're going to get clotheslined by Bobby Ocean, if you're going to get chopped by Bobby Ocean, if you're going to get a leg drop by Bobby Ocean, you better be ready to take something because there's no messing around in that ring. Now, with that said, I see that you like to kind of follow through with stuff, not like I'm describing. Not everybody likes to kind of do that. They'll pull back a little bit. You like to kind of feel it a little bit. And I see you want it back. Is that why that's your style? Once you bring that in, are you expecting that to come back? Because, hey, man, I'm giving you a little something. I want to feel a little something.
Yeah, I mean, I earlier in my career, I enjoyed that giving and taking, and even still I do. I think that in the match you got to bring it, and if I'm gonna give it to you, I expect the same back. There's no games when you're in the ring. Mm-hmm. And then it's. I mean, I can remember, speaking of giving it back, the Fight for Your Dream, the first one, Slick Wagner Brown. I'm giving it to him, he's giving it right back, and that's just, and I don't mind that. Some guys some guys do, some guys don't. Everybody's different. But I don't necessarily mind it.
Now, Fight for Your Dreams, since you brought it up, the first big show, the fans, we like to call what you call the road events, we like to call pay-per-views because we've been at training day, following those training days time after time. Great time. Very tight atmosphere. Love that atmosphere so much. But then you guys are like, you know what? We want to get a little bigger crowd. We want more eyes on the product, on the men and women. We got great talent to provide. We want more eyes on it. We're going to take it to bigger places. And holy crap, Fight for Your Dreams was an amazing event. You became the very first ever Tesla Strength champion. Talk to us, the fans, about that. How do you expect that coming your way? Because that's a great company, man, and I know you're a vital part of that company right now. But being the first champion, that's a lot of pressure, my friend. Talk to us about winning that championship and maybe leading up to that day, maybe leading up to the match and how it all went.
Yeah. Um, you know, Test of Strength, was of course, created by, Slick Rider Brown. And, it originally was in Waterford, was in Watertown, Connecticut, in a small building. And I remember just being a part of Training One. And the main event was me and Slick Wagner Brown wrestling Anthony Green and Christian Casanova. Something you wouldn't see anywhere else.
Yeah.
Now, I forget. I don't even know what training day number we're at right now.
I think it's like 29. We're about to hit 29.
30 something.
Yeah.
We're now we everything's been updated. Everything has been upgraded. When I was told about this tournament thing that I was going to be crowned the first heavyweight champion, I was like, okay, cool. All right. And just seeing the brackets, and there was so much talent, so many guys. Guys I've shared a ring with, guys I've never even shared a ring with or had the pleasure of wrestling. And to go through all of that, the qualifier rounds, like King of the Ring style, to then, wrestling, a friend of mine who I call family, and Slick Wagner Brown at the Fight for Your Dreams. I mean, and then moving on to, the triple threat, three-way dance, whatever you want to call it, between me, Sammy, and Dickie Moon, to then being the first champion. I mean, I was proud to be the first champion, proud to call myself the champion, proud to carry the company to, into what it was going to be, until my reign ended. But I was just very proud of that moment, and the days leading up to it, it was very hectic. And then for nobody that doesn't know or does know, I ended up getting injured in the main event. So when it was a three-way triple threat match, something happened, during the match. Sammy goes for a moonsault, and somehow, and I've seen the video of how it's happened, but I stretched my Achilles in the match, and I remember I couldn't stand or get up, and we're still going, and I'm not feeling the pain yet. I realize something is wrong when I'm trying to run, and I can't run, and I'm hobbling. And, we get to the point where I see my opportunity. I hit the spin kick. At this time, total loco, which that's tough to even throw the spin kick because now both my Achilles are stretched. Make it through the match, and I remember, getting the belt, hobbling to get the belt as it's being presented to me, and I tell Slick Wagner Brown, I can't walk, and I'm holding on the ropes just to not have pressure on my Achilles. So in the midst of all this, as the show ends, we do the photo shoots, all that stuff. I get some ice on my Achilles, and I'm thinking, oh, it's nothing. It'll be fine because I'm walking. This is what people don't know. So as soon as I sit down, as I'm sitting down right now, and I'm trying to stand up, I can't stand.
Wow.
And it's interesting when you don't have the power or the strength to move. And I remember I was like, I can't stand up, um, and a friend of mine, Deke, we call him Michael Deke. He's one of the Untouchables, and he says, "What do you mean you can't stand?" I said, "Dude, I can't stand." And so I remember getting my gear off, putting my clothes on, and he had to carry me over his shoulder to the car, almost like like a baby boy. And I had to remember having ice packs on my on my Achilles, driving all the way from Mass to Connecticut, and finding out the next day that I stretched both my Achilles. I was out for about, I think, 4 months, 5 months, not able to defend the belt or anything like that. So yeah, that part sucked. But
Man. Now, that's the part, boys and girls that watch this, that's the part of the wrestling game you get injured. Not only, obviously, you're physically injured, but man, your head gets so tweaked up. I'm not a wrestler. I don't try to pretend to know what Mr. Ocean was going through at that point, but I kind of get the game a bit. And I'm telling you, when you get injured and you can't get in that ring because of an injury, that really tweaks the heads of the men and women that are down and out. And especially being a champion and can't defend a title when you're the first champion ever. How hard does that hit you mentally, Mr. Ocean?
it hit me real hard because you know you go through all this to become the first champion, and now you can't defend your title. And I had a list of guys that I wanted to defend the title against. I wanted to do a rematch with Sammy Diaz, a Dickie Moon. Um, you can have a match with Slick Wagner Brown, and just a lot of different guys. I was going to be fighting champion, a championship, all that stuff. But not being able to defend it, and to not being able to training, not being able to train, not being able to go to shows. So it was it messed with me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. As I think it would anybody when it's something that they've sacrificed and to get to a certain moment. I mean, I think this would be, other than DPW, the Dissension Pro Wrestling, DPW, not Define Pro Wrestling. This would probably be the second time, or actually, let me take that back. The third time that I've been the first ever champion of a promotion. So, and one that's still going. So, it messed with my head a lot.
Now, you mentioned being the first ever. We've talked Test of Strength.
Yeah.
You just mentioned DPW, Dissension Pro Wrestling. I was there. I watched Just Incredible put the strap on you. I was there, my friend. Now, what's the third one?
The third one was a promotion called Revolution Pro Wrestling, and it was owned by a guy who named Eric Newton. And they wanted to do another company called RPW Revolution, or I think actually it was New England Frontier Wrestling before it was RPW, and it was they wanted to make another company out of that, which that never happened. So somehow I just ended up carrying the belt around. So it was nothing wrong with that. So I guess you can call it was like their world heavyweight champion to the WWE championship.
Now, you've been an active wrestler for quite some time. Could you please share us how long you've been in the game up to this point?
It's been a minute. Wrestling over a decade, about 13 years. Um, but as far as in the business, it's been 2 decades, so it's rather interesting just to say that.
Uh, what makes you laugh? Because I know Bobby Ocean outside the ring.
Yeah.
You're not a mean guy by any sense of the imagination. You have a small sense of humor. We have
Yeah.
fun, but you don't get triggered very much. You were just laughing at your own beginning. Kind of. I had some interesting rides at the front end of that. What makes you tickled when you laugh like that? And you're thinking, what made you laugh right there?
Um, you know, to realize that it's been that long, um, and realizing how things have changed. The
Hmm.
business wasn't what it is now today.
Mm.
Um, the names that came through promotions that I were a part of. Some signed, some not signed. Great talent. Uh, you know, more veterans than newcomers. And now everything's a reverse process. And you know, the what you did in ring was more of the um, it wasn't the hybrid style as it is now,
Mm.
and just going through that transition and kind of being one of the last ones still here, still doing it. It's just something that makes me chuckle, or I'm just like, man, it's like going through those eras, those eras in
Hmm.
as it's raining very hard, but going through those eras in wrestling, it's just, it's just wow, you know.
See, seeing the evolution of wrestling as a wrestler firsthand, being in the game for a bit of time, you know, some of the younger guys been in it for 5 years, not that long of a time, but not that short of a time.
Right.
Being in for over a decade, that gives you a little bit of something. The experience factor that you've seen, like you're saying, the evolution of wrestling. And we all have seen it for the most part, that are a little bit older. I've been a wrestling fan since I was like, oh, I don't know, 8 years old. So that I started seeing my first matches when I was 8 years old in 1978. So I've been a wrestling fan for a long time. My preference was the old school AWA, WCCW, NWA, stuff like that. Watching it on Saturday mornings and Sunday and all of that, hanging out with Pop, watching TV. It's a little, wow, not a little. It's a lot different than it's ever been from that time to this time. Watching that evolution, I'm very curious on your opinion, sir. Do you feel that it's helped the game, hurt the game? Because now we see a lot of fluent acrobatic stuff in the ring. Not that it's not wrestling, but it's just a different game of wrestling. Do you think that the transition, the evolution has helped it or hurt wrestling?
I don't think it's hurt just because it's something different and something new, something that you want to see. Um, yeah, I don't think it's hurt wrestling at all. I think it's just another form of wrestling.
Hmm.
It's just like it's just like every wrestler is not somebody's cup of tea. You know, every form of wrestling is not going to be somebody's. So, for the old school guys, um, they may not like the hybrid style. For somebody who's they may not like the guys at high fly. Everybody's different. But that's what's the best thing about wrestling. It's like the old saying, it's Baskin Robbins. 31 different flavors, which probably sure they add a couple more flavors. But, you know, it's different. And, that's what you want, just like movies, you want to see, you don't want to see the same movie all the time. You want to see, different genres.
For me personally, I mean, I do my go-to, my comfort zone is the older school stuff, but I love, absolutely get stoked with the contrast of styles. I dig when there's two old school guys going against each other or two high flyers going against each other and we see a bunch of wow stuff. I can dig that, but I really, really enjoy it when there's contrast of styles going on each side of the ring and coming together and trying to produce that story. Me as a fan, I really enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's what any fan loves. When you have a contrast of styles where somebody who's a technical person is wrestling somebody who's high flying, somebody high flying is wrestling submission, uh, somebody whose submission is wrestling, uh, somebody that's maybe ground and pound, so I, I think that it's you need that. You need that. You need that difference. So I used to love it all the time when I was, I'd wrestle on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and my matches were different all the time. I was wrestling somebody different. The styles maybe the same, maybe different. Um, and you got. I just love being tested in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Especially thinking the bigger picture of hey, the person that's sitting and watching this understands a different, different contrast styles.
Mm. And it gives you that little bit of extra onto your experience list, if you will. You've wrestled something a little bit different than you used to, maybe, and it gains you just a little bit. Oh, I could do this to get out of that, or I could have do this. Like, I love when guys like yourself, Smash Mouth, a guy's coming off the top rope for a move, and you just clothesline his ass and drop him onto the mat. I love those hard hitting impact stuff like that because they're flying around. Like myself, I would be a high flyer, but I only weigh 35 pounds, so I'm not going to jump in the ring. But I would be a high flyer jumping around trying to do a bunch of stick and move, if you will, especially against a guy like you. Well, here I come flying at you, and you just decapitate me. We, the fans, we go, oh, shit. I mean, we get those little pow factors,
Yeah.
Now, yourself, been in the game for a bit. I'm very curious. Has your character or whatever, your thing that you've got going on, has it always been Bobby Ocean? Or I'm going to use an example I've used a couple times. Or did you start off something kind of really kooky like Kane when he was a Christmas creature or something? Woo, that was fun. Something like that back in the day.
Yeah. I had a lot of names. Just trying to find a name, and the name wasn't something I came up with. So when I was first getting introduced to to the wrestling, there I started doing the pre-show matches, Defiant Pro Wrestling. And it was me and Chris Mooch, and we did that for about a year. This change, and every time I came out, it was like I had a different name all the time, trying to figure out what stick. And none of these names were mine, so I was just like, all right, whatever. I was just happy to be wrestling, and the name I was called the Shaft Bobby Ocean because one name. The owner of the company, Mike Milano, liked the name The Shaft because of John Shaft, Shut Your Mouth and all this stuff. And Jason Knight who trained me, he liked the name Bobby Ocean from the movie Salt and Sea. It was a character Val Kilmer played. And I remember he talked to me about the name like a couple months before I was even like doing shows and things like that. And I had so many names, so many names from being called, Zoran to Chill Will to Doc Johnson to Shaft, Bobby Ocean to the Shaft Bobby Ocean. So many names. And, Bobby Ocean just stuck. Thankfully, a name stuck because, going through all those names, who knows if what would have stuck.
I would have not wanted to call you Chill Will. There's no way that I'm going to chant Chill Will, Chill Will. Bobby Ocean's got much better ring to it, my friend.
Yeah, Chili Willie, so I mean, worked, I guess.
Hey, I'm just used to Bobby Ocean. Maybe looking back and trying to hear a Chill Will just kind of twist me a little bit. That's pretty good stuff right there. Now, you said you were trained by Jason Knight. I've heard that name a few times. Now, back in the day, I used to sprinkle in some independent shows, very seldomly, but I tried to get out there because I did love wrestling. But I went when Jason Knight had ACW, Assault Championship Wrestling. When that was running, I've probably been to maybe a handful of shows, 3, 4, or 5, possibly. But I remember going to those shows, and they were a lot of fun. And looking back, I remember seeing familiar names that I remember now, some not, because, like a Balls Mahoney was part of the company, Ron Zombie, and man, those times, were those fun for you back then?
Those were fun for me. Like I came in when Jason Knight was booking for Acid Pro Wrestling. So this was probably 99, 2000-ish. But, something happened where, companies split. Jason created Assault. I remember talking to Jason on the phone. And he's like, "You're with me." And I remember the first show was in Meriden at the Meriden Independent Club. I forgot like where exactly it was, the address, but I remember just the building. There were so much fun times there. Like I met so many people, and this is where I was, saying, hey, there was many veterans than newcomers because I always say I was the luckiest person to be in the New England scene for me personally, because I was around a lot of ECW veterans, a lot of ECW guys, Lance Wright, Joe Gertner, Balls Mahoney, Chris Candido, New Jack. I remember Chris Shetty coming through the doors. Kid Cash was a regular. Riptide, or Angel Orsini. That's where I learned about the business. And I trained at the original House of Pain in Warrior Bay on Main Street. And then all the other places where Jason's schools were, I was there. Even when he was wrestling for DPW. But ACW gave me the foundation for how the business was and is and should be still to this day. It was hard. It wasn't easy. I mean, I was just 15-year-old kid, just wanted to be a part of the wrestling business. I think the ring that we had wasn't a wrestling ring; it was like a boxing ring. So the steel frame was a boxing ring. Everything was heavy, but I would set the ring up, tear the ring down, uh, see how to run a locker room, did the sound, did merchandise. Sometimes I would just stand and watch. So I learned every aspect and training on top of that. So I learned every aspect of what the business was before I even got to wrestle in a match. And I had so much respect for the business and for what it is that, I say we do. But ACW gave me a lot. Jason Knight, Sherry, they gave me the foundation. I can't thank them enough. There's so many people that helped me out through that process, like a Balls Mahoney, a Ron Zombie, a Dylan Cage, Jason Wood, Joe Gertner, and I saw so many people come through those doors, like a Slick Wagner Brown, April Hunter, like I said, Dylan Cage, a Homicide. When Homicide had his school, the Doghouse, there was just, the Lythons, the Boogaloos, Rekka, Amanda Violet, Mercedes Martinez's, the Talias, who's I'm forgetting her ring now. Velvet Sky, Talia, Velvet Sky. The Antonio Thomases, just the there was just so many. Actually, Antonio Thomas wasn't there at ACW, but later on DW. But anyway,
getting those experience from all of those people, it's got to be like, man, for those people to take some time, give you just a little bit of knowledge to add up to be that wrestler. It's got to be really cool to go through those times. Like you're saying, you're one of the, you feel like you're very lucky in the New England scene because you've had a lot of those names give you just a little piece of something,
Yeah, they had, whether I was wrestling or whether I was just a spectator.
Right.
There was always some nuggets that were being dropped, some golden nuggets. And, I didn't at the time know what I had in that. I was 14, just entering the wrestling business, want to be a part of it. 18, having my first match. But it took a lot of time for Bobby Ocean to be seen and heard, and it wasn't easy. So
now, as you stand back and you're watching this, do you feel that was like you said, you've already soaked in visually a lot of wrestling before you even jumped in the ring? Do you feel that's a great asset to have? Is even if you've already been in the game, or if you're just starting today or tomorrow or what have you, standing back, soaking in, watching what's going on, really paying attention and focusing, that's a great asset to have becoming a wrestler, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think it does. It's always, as we say, the outside looking in. Are we talking about? Are we talking about aspiring wrestlers or just in general?
No, just in general. Like you're saying, you're a young kid. You're a young kid soaking it in. But it doesn't matter, I don't think, in wrestling because there's so much knowledge to take in. Just in general, to stand back and soak it in as you're watching it. And I know you like to get the insight from the vets and what have you and get feedback, but just standing back and soaking it in, I think it's a vital tool.
Yeah, because I think, another thing, enjoying the moment. And I think that you know, a lot of us don't get to enjoy that moment when we're in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
There's a moment. It's a moment when we come to the curtain. It's a moment when we stand in the ring, whatever it may be. And soaking it in. So, for me, like as a spectator, I was soaking it in and seeing like, okay, crowds here, the wrestlers are making their entrances.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Seeing the moves, seeing what they do, how they do it, why they do it. Timing, things like that.
Mm.
Even though at the time I didn't understand it, it didn't connect up here.
Right.
Until later on, some years down the road. And, and then being as a wrestler, like I said, it took some time until I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
And it all soaked in. I was like, oh, okay. Slowly.
And then, yeah, and then you start, as you're realizing what you've already gained as an experience, now it's starting to hit you like, oh crap, I'm going to use that. I'm going to apply it and make it really happen, make my performance better, make my connection with the fans, and be able to utilize some of those tools. Because again, sir, one of the hardest things in the world, even as a wrestler, you could have all the ring cool stuff you want. You could know 10 million submissions. You could do whatever you want in that ring. But if you're not connecting with us, there's an element that's lost along the way in that performance.
Yeah. There is an element that's lost, and hey, I've been through it where that element has been lost. Not made that connection. There's a time where I was, uh, wrestling, um, just at at one point wrestling just to get through the match, and forgetting about everybody else on the outside. They wrestling for yourself, so to speak.
Yeah, because you have a tunnel vision of these are my spots. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to hurt my opponent. So you have this tunnel vision going on.
Yeah, I had that for a minute. Until uh, Bob Holly, when I wrestled him, and says, "Man, you're good. Uh, just just don't forget about them."
Mm-hmm.
And okay, all right, and that's what that meant. Because as a wrestler, some wrestlers are just so used to. There was a point where I was just used to getting the reaction that I wanted, just because I didn't have to work hard for it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a point where, because I didn't have to be like, "Hey, you over there? Hey, you?" I didn't have to acknowledge, and it was just something that I, kind of got.
Now, we've talked your wrestling career, not a whole lot because there's so much to talk about. And I'm sure in the future I can hopefully get you for a follow-up because I got 1,000, 1,000,000 more questions about your wrestling career. But I want to dive into right now, Test Your Strength, East Hartford, Connecticut. And man, again, great times. You have joined Powers, if you will, with Slick Wagner as a trainer at Test Your Strength. And I've seen it firsthand. I've been to a couple training sessions. And my word, you guys are producing some very, very talented men and women coming up in the industry right now. And I mean, just the ones that are coming in brand spanking new, I love seeing that. But I want to talk about, and I hate using their name, guys like the Firm. And I talked about these guys with Slick Wagner Brown. I hate to admit, they're fire, they're money. They make people pissed off. They're doing their job correctly. Their characters are amazing. I hate giving them sons of bitches credit, but you guys have done a fantastic job to mold them into wrestlers. Get your character, find yourself, make it happen. But they, on the other hand, have taken that ball, ran with it, and man, they can draw heat wherever they go, and I absolutely love seeing them guys on any show. Talk to us about being a trainer at Test of Strength and seeing these young men and women come up like that.
You know, the seeing these guys and girls for that matter, come up and as we say, walk down the aisle of success. You're just proud of it. Um, when a lot of them came in here, some of them didn't really have the wrestling experience and know it was what. Some were naturals, but everything takes time. I'm very proud of everybody, from all the students, the firm, um, the El Jabronis, just so on and so forth. I can name. There's a lot of them, so Jabroni. But it's we train hard. We myself and Wagner tried to pass on the knowledge that we were presented to the next generation. And we always we try to keep them grounded, humbled, and have them know that hey, how it was for us was hard.
Mm-hmm.
How it is now, you've got the click of a button and everybody, your matches, promos, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy as far as what everybody's doing, and taking things to the next level. And they want to be the best that they can be. They want to take things farther than Test of Strength, the promotion. So I mean, I'm just happy to have a hand in it. I'm just happy to have a hand in it, and I'm just a little part in that machine that makes them go. So
I love seeing everything you guys are doing, storylines, characters, big part of wrestling, a major, major, major part of wrestling, both of those things, along with everything else that it takes to make a performance happen in a ring. I just absolutely love what Test of Strength brings to the table. And again, boys and girls, if you don't know who they are, I've mentioned them a trillion times on this show. Test of Strength, East Hartford, Connecticut. Look them up on the face page, the Twitter, the YouTube, all of that good stuff. Because, man, we have so much fun at Test of Strength shows. May it be the smaller ones, may it be the bigger ones. Doesn't matter, man. They're equally as fun. But before I do let you go, sir, there's one person. We've mentioned him a couple of times. I'd rather not, but I got to. Dan the Man, still holding that Test of Strength championship. Bobby Ocean, I think, deserves to get back in that ring. And I know we're at a weird time. Get back in that ring. Get a shot at that title. Kick the living shit out of Dan the Man. Take what he deserves back. Wear it proud. And let us fans cheer for somebody for a change than having to boo the champion. I am so sick of booing the champion. When can we expect to see something happen between Bobby Ocean and Dan the Man? Again, I know it's a weird time, so.
You never know when that may happen. Hopefully sooner than later. I know that there's other contenders that are in line for the TOS championship. However, I am hoping that at some point in time, whatever show it is, that it will be Dan the Man and Bobby Ocean for the TOS championship. And I know I'm going to regain it at some point. I'm pretty sure, guaranteed, that I will retain it or regain it. But, because Dan's been a thorn in my side. Dan's been a major thorn in my side. Actually, a guy that I kind of feel responsible for him even being in TOS for that matter, because I brought him to win. And
why would you do that to us? What's the matter with you?
Well, There was a time. There was a time where, I had brought Dan, and Dan had entered into the New England scene some years ago, a while ago. I'd probably say maybe about 8, 9 years ago, something like that. But and I might be over exaggerating the years here, but I feel responsible in bringing them in. I will say that as a wrestler, he's he's one of my toughest opponents. We've had battles in almost every company that we've both been at. As a champion, yeah. As a champion, he knows what it takes to stay a champion. As much as I hate to say that, it's the truth.
We call that cheating. We call that cheating.
But he's somebody that I'm sure when it's all said and done, that he will be somebody that, just like you've had the Makazis versus the Frankie Arians, the Slick Wagner Brown versus the Brian Fury. You'll have the Bobby Ocean versus Dan.
Well, I can't wait till that happens again. Excuse me, sir. Bobby Ocean comes in, steamrolls Dan the Man, clothesline, chop, whatever he's got to do. Bite his ear off. It doesn't matter at this point. Just bite the damn guy's ear off. Let's take that championship away from Dan the Man and let Alex Rojas, with a smile for once and well over a year, have a smile and put that belt on somebody that he wants to see as top of the company, because he's such a miserable person when he puts that strap on Dan the Man. I hate seeing that.
Yeah, I hate seeing it too. Mm-hmm. I the fans deserve better.
We do.
And that time's going to come. That time is definitely going to come.
I can't wait for that. Being selfish, I can't wait for that time to happen. So I would never, and again, you ever see me at a show, Mr. Ocean? Never once will I ever stand up and cheer for Dan the Man. Never. Don't want to do it. Never going to happen. It would probably make me sick inside, so I don't even want to start to try. Mr. Ocean, you've been an absolute delight today. I cannot thank you so much for the time that you spent with us, opening up a little bit, talking to the fans. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. Stirring the pot, the Kincaid fight.
We have fun, man. That's what this is. We're in a weird lockdown situation right now, and the only way to kind of reach to the men and women that I've kind of made relationships with is to use the old intertubes, if you will. So I was glad that you would say yes when you came on, because again, I'm a little weird at the show. Don Kincaid's in the ring, and I'm all up in your face, and Bobby Ocean's not that kind of guy. So I appreciate you coming on, my friend.
I appreciate you for having me, man. Hopefully
yeah.
Soon.
I would love a follow because I got so many more questions. But until then, this is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid. We've got a very see, again, I can't talk, Mr. Ocean. This is going to be a shit day. We've got a very busy Sunday. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, hard-hitting Bobby Ocean. Thank you, my friend, for spending the time.
Thank you.
Ready to fire!